EC3. We've actually seen EC3's first post WWE match. It wasn't in an Impact Wrestling ring, it wasn't in an AEW ring, it wasn't in any ring by any major company. It was actually in a ring. It was in a wrestling ring, it was a match. I guess if you call it a match, but it was part of a video released by EC3 at midnight last night. So similar to Gallows and Anderson, obviously EC3's been heavily linked with Impact Wrestling. Obviously, Slammiversary is tonight in Nashville. EC3 is expected to appear. Obviously, we don't have any confirmation as to that yet, but it's highly speculated that EC3 is going to be the fourth man in the main event for the vacant Impact World Championship. That's my prediction anyway. We will be doing a watch-along for Slammiversary night tonight, so the stream is already up on the channel, so you can set yourself a reminder. Be sure to join us. I would really, really appreciate that. So EC3. A bit like Gallows and Anderson and all of the talent that was released by WWE back in April, their WWE non-compete clauses have expired. As of midnight last night, they are now free to compete anywhere that they wish. So EC3, he's been doing a lot of work on social media recently, hasn't he? I've said that I think EC3's post-WWE work, his post-WWE social media work, I think he's probably got the best post-WWE buzz out there right now. Just by the clips he's been uploading. Obviously, we saw him do the promo, the Control Your Narrative promo about AEW, where he did all the AEW puns, Alpha versus Omega, Khan, Inner Circle, even showed the AEW logo during it. That got people talking. He did a similar one about Ring of Honor. There's no honor in what we do. There's no honor in professional wrestling. There's no honor in what we do. And that finished with a Ring of Honor promo. Got people talking. That's been this whole... I mean, you talk about control your narrative. He's certainly been controlling his narrative by getting a lot of people talking about him. The narrative with EC3, whilst he was in WWE, and I suppose towards the end there, the narrative about EC3 is, why are they misusing this guy? What are they doing? They're ruining this guy. Once again, doesn't even get on main event. He's so talented. Look at the work he did in Impact Wrestling. Look at the work he's done in his career. And you've got him doing nothing. What a load of rubbish. That was the narrative about him now, but EC3 is controlling his narrative and setting the record straight when it comes to his career. So very exciting to see. So at midnight last night, EC3 released a video called The Narrative. It was very Jon Moxley-like. Now, if you recall, when Jon Moxley got released by when Jon Moxley's contract expired, with WWE in 2019, at midnight, similar to EC3, at midnight, once Moxley's contract had expired, he released... Obviously, the videos were different, but it was a similar kind of thing to this. It was very high production, highly produced, looked very, very crisp, very, very good. It was sort of a short movie, and Jon Moxley's video last year was about him escaping prison, escaping the asylum. Jon Moxley had escaped, basically. Jon Moxley had been freed. And it's a bit of a similar thing here with EC3. It's called The Narrative. It's a short film, essentially. It's 7 minutes long. It's professionally shot. Now, obviously, I'm not going to take you completely through it shot by shot, but we'll go through the major talking points from the EC3, the narrative video. So it starts out with EC3. You know it's EC3. You don't see his face, but you see him from the back. He's looking out over a city. He's standing on a rooftop, staring out over a rooftop. He's got a bottle of pills, medication in his hand. I tried to see what they were calling this medication. It had like a label over it, which had some words over it. I couldn't make it out, but if you want to go back and watch it, and you can let me know what it says in the comment section below, I'd really appreciate that, because I'm assuming it was some form of subtle Easter eggs. There was a lot of Easter eggs in this. It was kind of a bit like a Marvel trailer, isn't it? Just a really long one. It was shot that well, I must say. Credit goes out to EC3 and everyone that worked on this video. It was done really, really, really well. It looks like there was some definite money put into this one, and it showed. It was very, very good. So he's staring out over the rooftop. He takes a pill from his medication, and then he throws it, gets rid of it. I don't know what that signifies, that he's no longer numbed to the world, I guess, or no longer numbed. He is finally awake. He's finally woken, as Matt Hardy would say. So he throws his medication, and then you see him walking through the building. He's walking through the street, and as he walks past people, there are people in these the EC3 logo, the new sort of scratch EC3 logo. We see him walking past people in the streets. They're wearing the EC3 hoodies and their masks, and he picks up followers everywhere he goes. He's walking past them, and people start to follow him. I think that's quite a bit of a meta reference, isn't there, when it comes to people following his new journey on social media, or people following him about where he's going to end up next, his next destination. I think that was quite a nice metaphor there that they used. He also walks past a control your narrative sign, one of those signs, you know, like they used to do with like back in the day with sort of community boards, and they have for like guitar lessons, and you have the sign and you rip the little bit off and you ring the number. It was a similar sort of thing there. It was control your narrative signs. I guess that's where he was heading to. He was heading to the place to control his narrative. So that was fun as well. We then see the clip I've mentioned about a million times on this channel of him walking on the train tracks. Don't walk on the train tracks, kids. It's rather dangerous. He walks on the train tracks. Stay away from the train tracks, kids. It's dangerous. With his followers. Seriously, though, like, no, never walk on train tracks. Very dangerous. Regardless if you can see a train coming or not. Just, you could get electrocuted as well. Just, yeah. EC3, I mean, I know you're controlling your narrative, but let's not go there. Let's stay away from the train tracks. Keep your followers away from the train tracks. Let's just, if you're going to transport anywhere, use the train to go to Impact Wrestling on Slammiversary at the week. Maybe that's what he was going. Maybe he was catching the train to go to Nashville. Who knows? Who knows? We then see him go into a building whereby he burns everything that had to do with WWE. He burns his old EC3 trunks, the sort of glittery, bedazzled trunks, so I don't think we'll be seeing that of him at Slammiversary tonight if he does appear. He burns his EC3 action figures. You could probably hear Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins shrieking, how dare he do anything to action figures? They are sacred, regardless of if they are an EC3 action figure. To be honest, with the amount of time that he was there with WWE and the amount that he wasn't used with WWE, is that the only EC3 action figure? I mean, I don't know. When I was younger, I used to be a big action figure aficionado when it comes to WWE. Obviously now, not so much, but he burns the EC3 action figure. I do find it funny that, unless I'm assuming that WWE back in whenever these were made probably gave him like hundreds to sign or to keep or whatever, or he had to buy one. I kind of like the idea that he had to buy an EC3 action figure from the company just to burn it. So put money in their pocket just to burn it for the video. Talk about betting on yourself. That would be betting on yourself and gambling on yourself there. So credit to EC3 for that one. He also burns what I'm assuming was his WWE contract, or it might have been his WWE release papers. I think it's probably more likely his WWE contract. We know it's the WWE contract because it even has the WWE logo on it, right? So that's quite a stark message being sent there. I mean, can he do that? I mean, I guess so. It's fair use. I mean, it's just the logo. You can burn it. I don't know if that's... To be honest, should WWE really care? They've been petty enough in the past to care. But, I mean, I guess, whatever. So EC3 burns his trunks, his action figure, his WWE contract, everything to do with the EC3 and WWE, everything to do with the past, everything to do with his torrid time in that company when he went back for the second time is gone. It's been burnt, it's destroyed, it's gone away from ever. Everything burns. We never have to look at it again, talk about it again. It's part of EC3 has been destroyed and it's never coming back. So that's the story they're trying to tell there. He even smokes a cigar, and this is before he has a match. I would not recommend that either. Don't walk on the train tracks, EC3. Don't smoke. Smoking's bad for you. Smoking kills. And 3, don't smoke before a match. Are you kidding me? I mean, you're going to blow up anyway. My word. You don't want to have, popcorn lung or whatever before you have a match. No, stay away from that. Terrible. Some of the messages here, I'm enjoying some of the metaphors, but some of the health risks with watching this video, EC3, you're a madman. He then enters a sort of, it looks to be like a wrestling school arena, sort of a dingy warehouse, gritty, dirty. He enters a wrestling ring. We see people in this warehouse cheering for him. We even see a couple of people gambling. I'm assuming they're gambling on the matches or just a game of cards. Why not go to a casino? I'm assuming they are open. Or online, do a bit of online poker. I mean, I don't think I would ever consider, I really want to go do some gambling. Where shall I go? Go to a wrestling school and gamble on people taking bumps. Maybe that's a niche market. Maybe EC3's tapped into something like this. forget his in-ring return and his next chapter of his career of Impact Wrestling. Maybe he's running a little bit of a gambling ring in his local wrestling school. I mean, that would be a story. That would be a turn up for the books. To be honest, though, with 2020, that would probably be the least surprising thing of all the things that's been going on in 2020 so far. Just crazy. So EC3, he enters a wrestling ring. We see people cheering for him. There's even, I believe, an ex-WWE referee there. I didn't get his name, but I do recognize him from WWE. So maybe he was a recent release also, a recent furlough. I guess if he's furloughed, he probably wouldn't be allowed in this video because he's technically a WWE member of staff still. I don't know. But there's definitely an ex-WWE referee there, so I noticed that one. Then someone gets in the ring to work with EC3, and the guy who comes in the ring, I mean, he is all jacked up. I mean, he looked absolutely stacked. I believe they referred to him as the meat in the post-video credits, which is quite interesting, which is definitely true. I mean, this guy was huge, and it was kind of like, you know, when you watch those old karate movies and you face all these people and then you see the big guy, and you go, oh, okay, this is the serious guy. EC3 is not playing around here. So this jacked up guy, all inked as well, comes into the ring. And then you see that EC3, we haven't seen EC3's face yet, by the way. So he's wearing a hoodie, an EC3 hoodie. It says control your narrative on the front. And then EC3 removes the hoodie to reveal his face, as if we didn't know it was EC3. It would be surprised if he released, you know, took the hoodie off and it's, I don't know, Kizani or someone like that. Oh, it's Mordecai. It was Mordecai. It's a Mordecai video. It's got nothing to do with EC3. Oh, it's Funaki. I thought I was watching an EC3 video. Stupid me, silly me. So he reveals himself. He looks in. EC3's always looked in good shape, even when he was Derek Bateman, when he was EC3 before, and in the latest WWE run, EC3 has always been in tremendous shape. He's certainly a body guy. He looks great. But even for EC3 standards at this point, he looks absolutely ginormous. He looks absolutely stacked. He looks to be in the absolute peak condition. Some of the best condition of his career, like has been the case of all of these ex-WWE guys, right? I mean, everyone that's got released, whether it's Heath Slater, whether it's Rusev, whether it's EC3, whether it's Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, all of them, to a T, just look to be in absolutely tremendous shape. And they've spoken about that's largely due to, obviously, you have the chip on your shoulder of being released, being thrown to the side during a pandemic, being like, right, I'm going to take this, I'm going to let it spur me on, I'm going to get in the best shape of my life, I'm going to make money, and I'm going to make an impact, pun intended, wherever I go. But also as well, you don't have the WWE schedule, which is, by all accounts, even to this day, even in 2020, prior to the lockdown, was brutal. The live event schedule was just horrible, isn't it? And they say, you know, it's so hard to keep and maintain good shape while you're on the road 5 days a week and however 300 weeks a year, or maybe longer than that. So 300 weeks a year? Sorry, 300 days a year. 300 weeks in a year. God, it feels like there's been 300 weeks in a year. 50 weeks a year. So we have the match with EC3 and the meat guy. Very physical, very stiff. It has to be, really, when you have a match shot like this, because it's not. It's probably like a hybrid between an actual match and a cinematic match. I wouldn't say it was full cinematic because to me it didn't feel like that. Yes, it was professionally shot, but it was kind of just like watching a match, just because obviously it still took place in the ring and all that sort of stuff. So if anything, because the camera's closer and there isn't because the camera's closer and you can see the nitty gritty of it, you have to be more snug, and that's exactly what it was. It was very physical. It was very stiff. The guy against EC3 did get a little bit of offense in as well. He had a jawbreaker, but then EC3 takes control, hits an angle slam, clothesline, a TKO into a knee. He then says to the guy, "You have been warned." Hits a reverse DDT, then just releases. I mean, pure anger and frustration. He just starts screaming. It kind of feels like, again, he's been freed. This torment that's been going on in EC3's mind and his head while he's been sat on the sideline. It's all released. So he screams. He locks a crossface in on this guy. The crowd starts cheering. I was slightly uncomfortable with the crowd because I'm assuming, you would hope that they've all been tested. I would think that they would have been, but they certainly weren't social distancing. And some of the people at ringside certainly weren't wearing masks. So I would hope that they'd all been tested, or that maybe this was filmed a while ago before people really started wearing masks everywhere. I would hope that's the case. Maybe I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt there. I hope so. So once he locks the crossface in on this guy, the guy passes out. EC3 wins the match, if you want to call it a match. He looks into the camera, says you have been warned once again, and that's the video. We also had credits after the video too, which is nice. I kind of wish that sometimes in professional wrestling we saw credits at the end of it. I think that so many people, when it comes to professional wrestling, whether it comes to producers, whether it comes to directors, production staff, ring crew, etc., they're so forgotten and they're so not talked about, but they're such a vital and important element to the show. All the production staff, cameramen, lighting men, sound men or females, and they're such a forgotten element of professional wrestling, or not even forgotten, just not talked about or not noticed. And I would love to have credits. The only reason we don't have credits in professional wrestling today, and you can ask Bruce Pritchard this, he's mentioned this several times, is because Vince McMahon doesn't like credits. And for some reason, just over the years, because Vince McMahon has never done credits, it's just stuck. It's just stuck on, that's what it is. I mean, this is the thing with professional wrestling, isn't it? Professional wrestling, this is why professional wrestling gets in trouble sometimes, because the cat's out of the bag. It's entertainment. Everyone knows that professional wrestling is entertainment. But, and professional wrestling is almost a little bit schizophrenic when it comes to this. It's entertainment, and a lot of the time when it suits professional wrestling, they will say, we're entertainment, we're entertaining people. But again, this is the schizophrenic element to it. On another side of it, it says that it's sport. It's a choreographed sport. It's meant to have a sporting feel. And the matches are seen as sport back in the days where it was presented as legitimate. So it's sports entertainment, right? But it's presented as a sport when people when it suits their opinion. But it's entertainment when it suits people's opinion. So people will say, well, it shouldn't have credits. It's a sport. It's a simulated sport. But then on the other side of things, when you have a ridiculous storyline, people will go, yeah, but it's entertainment. It's just entertainment. You know, it's not real. It's entertainment. It's like, well, if it's entertainment and it's a television show and it's an entertainment television show, why shouldn't it have credits? Why shouldn't you give people their fair dues? Why shouldn't you reward people for the work they've done and get their name out there and potentially get them more work in the future? If your response to that is, well, it's a sport, it's like, well, you can't just say both. You can't just say, oh, it's entertainment when it suits you, and you can't say, oh, it's a sport when it suits you. If it's sports entertainment, okay, then why not have credits? You're openly admitting it's a show. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem admitting a work. Everyone knows it's a work. So, I mean, that's a bit of a tangent I've gone on there, but that's always frustrated me. Always frustrated me when it comes to that sort of thing. Well, you know, we wouldn't have that. It's a sport. Well, come on. So I really enjoyed it. The EC3, the narrative video, as I mentioned, professionally shot really well. EC3 for me has probably the most buzz out of anyone that was released by WWE, which is interesting considering the names you considered that did get released. I mean, when you have Gallows and Anderson, that's a t-shirt. When you have Gallows and Anderson, that were big names to get released. Obviously, Rusev, even Heath Slater recently appearing on Raw, got a bit of buzz about him. Zack Ryder, people are interested to see where he goes next. I would say the EC3 has done the best in generating a bit of buzz, getting people talking about him, and that's because of all of his work on social media. He has worked and played social media like an absolute fiddle. He's just done it perfectly. He's got people talking about him. I loved this video because I think it's him betting on himself. I think it's him proving what he can do and getting people talking about him. It's pretty much the Jon Moxley method, isn't it, of not talking, because EC3 until this past weekend, when it comes to interviews, has been largely silent. Obviously, he's been posting the videos on social media, but he's only started doing interviews over the last week or so, heading into Slammiversary, heading into when his non-complete clause is going to expire. So I think that's a coincidence. But that's exactly what Jon Moxley did. Stayed radio silent, released these videos, and then appeared at Double or Nothing last year. So I think EC3 will very much do the same, and he'll appear at Slammiversary tonight, or I hope so. He's all about controlling his narrative, or controlling your narrative right now. Will that continue with a return to Impact Wrestling at Slammiversary tonight? We'll be able to find out on our watch-along. That's a seamless plug by myself right there. We will see if EC3 does indeed return to the place in which he's a former world champion at Slammiversary. So I'm really excited for that one. Slammiversary tonight is just very, very exciting in general. We'll talk about Slammiversary briefly here. I know this video is about EC3, but This was a really good point, and I wish I saw who actually said it. It might be Wrestle Critic on Twitter. If you don't follow him, be sure to. He's a really great account. And it's a great point, basically saying that Gallows and Anderson was such a big surprise, such a big signing for Impact Wrestling. And if you haven't seen the news, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson officially have signed with Impact Wrestling. They released a video at midnight last night, Impact Wrestling did, announcing the signing of the tag team on their Twitter page. And it's such a big signing, and some people have said, well, why wouldn't you leave that for a surprise for Slammiversary? And it's almost like, well, maybe they didn't leave it for Slammiversary because that's like the minimum surprise that they've got. Gallows and Anderson, I spoke about this on the video earlier today, it was an open secret. Everyone knew that Gallows and Anderson was going to Impact Wrestling. The deal had been signed weeks and weeks ago, and the New Japan deals have been verbally agreed between them too. So it wasn't much of a surprise. Everyone was just kind of waiting for it to happen. So to announce that out of the gate at midnight, I think is actually really smart from Impact Wrestling, and I'll tell you why. I think it's really smart because people are going, wow, okay, great signing. It's built up a lot more buzz. There was so much buzz for Slammiversary anyway because people are interested to see who shows up, what Impact Wrestling are going to do. But they've announced the Gallows and Anderson sign, and people have got even more buzz now going, whoa, okay, I've got to watch it tonight because they might show up tonight. We know Gallows and Anderson are with Impact Wrestling. Okay, if I was on the fence about watching, I'm going to watch now. But it was an open secret. Everyone knew. EC3 going back to Impact Wrestling, whilst I still think it's pretty much a certainty, it isn't as certain as Gallows and Anderson because we haven't had those reports as of yet. So, and EC3 is maybe just one of other surprises. We know there's a tag team open challenge tonight from the Rascals. Do we know that Gallows and Anderson are going to answer that? No. It might be Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. That might be another surprise they've got. It might be a returning Motor City Machine Guns. Chris Sabin has actually tweeted out over the last 24 hours, it's Slammiversary tomorrow, ... And people are going, okay, something that we've spoken about here on the channel and actually speculated on the channel. Looks like we might be right in my prediction here that the Motor City Machine Guns, or at least Chris Sabin, could be making an appearance at Slammiversary as well. So I think Gallows and Anderson's announcement, I think that's just the tip of the iceberg for Impact Wrestling in the next 24 hours. I think we're going to see a lot of surprises tonight at Impact Wrestling, whether it is Slammiversary, whether it is returns, whether it is debuts, whether it is whatever, promos, vignettes, return of the Aces and Eights. I mean, I think the Gallows and Anderson announcement is just the way to kick it off. We know that Gallows and Anderson have signed with the company. We don't know what they're doing. I mean, it's pretty likely they're going to be at Slammiversary tonight. They're in the arena there in Nashville, but are they going to be wrestling? Are they going to be in the open challenge against the Rascals? Are they going to challenge the winner of the Tag Team Championship match? Are they going to confront the North? Are they going to be part of Aces and Eights? If Aces and Eights come back tonight, we know Aces and Eights are coming back in the future for Impact Wrestling. So there is so much that's up in the air. There is so much that we don't know, but hope is going to happen. And there's so much that's being speculated might happen tonight at Impact Wrestling that I think the announcement of Gallows and Anderson is just the kickstart of it. I really do. And I think maybe the pinnacle of it will be the return of EC3 in the main event tonight for the vacant Impact World Championship. I mentioned in the predictions video, there'll be a link to the predictions video in the description box, as also, and we'll put a card on the screen as well. But I still will stick with my prediction there that I think EC3 will be the mystery fourth competitor in the Impact World Championship main event. Of course, it's a fatal four-way match for the vacant Impact World Championship after Tessa Blanchard was stripped of the Impact World Championship after she was terminated from the company. Her contract was expiring anyway. Impact kind of got there ahead of her, released her and stripped her of the Impact World Championship, leaving the championship vacant. We have a fatal four-way match tonight. We have Eddie Edwards versus Trey versus Ace Austin versus a mystery fourth competitor who I believe will be EC3, and then I believe EC3 will not only be the fourth competitor, but I also think he will leave Slammiversary as the Impact World Champion. That then sets up a future feud with Moose, who I think will defeat Tommy Dreamer. Then we will have a World Champion versus World Champion scenario. Moose is calling himself the real World Champion. He's holding the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. This leads to EC3 confronting him. Of course, EC3 is a former TNA World Heavyweight Champion in his own right. And then we really do truly find out who is the real World Champion. Is it Moose or is it EC3? I think that's the direction in which they're going. And before we wrap this up here, I saw a post on Twitter as well. Someone responded to one of our posts and said, do you think that, or it might have been a YouTube comment actually, someone said, do you think EC3 could be a part of Aces and Eights? While I think that's unlikely, I do think it is a possibility. I think it's unlikely, but it is possible. I think that hinges on who they decide to be the president of Aces and Eights. If they can get Bully Ray back in, we know Bully Ray is now a free agent. His contract with Ring of Honor expired. Bully Ray is Aces and Eights. He was the president of Aces and Eights, but we don't know his relationship with the company, even if there's any interest in Impact's point of view bringing him in. If Bully Ray is interested in going back to Impact Wrestling, I think he would be. We know that Anthem can offer good money, and there's buzz around the company at the moment. It'd be a nice surprise. Bully Ray's all for making surprises. Aces and Eights we know are coming back, so I say why not, but we don't know that kind of situation. We know D'Lo Brown is part of the reformation. Of course, he was the former vice president of it. I don't think he'll be the president, so potentially we can have D'Lo Brown reunite the Aces and Eights, and if Bully Ray wasn't the president, EC3 could be a great president. I just don't know, with all of the hype surrounding his return to Impact Wrestling, all of this video and the control your narrative and all this sort of stuff, I don't know if I'd want to see him saddled with the Aces and Eights gimmick, and that's me being a big fan of Aces and Eights. I just think they should be separate, and I think EC3 is his gimmick at the moment, the way that he's worked social media, I just don't think it's really necessary for him to be in the Aces and Eights or have the Aces and Eights gimmick. To me, it just doesn't make sense. I think he's better off on his own, doing his own thing, proving a point, wrestling with a chip on his shoulder, cutting great promos, just being EC3, but now, after this traumatic WWE experience, being a better version of EC3. I think that's the best thing to do here. So hopefully we see EC3 tonight. I think we will, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see where the destination is for EC3 and if he does indeed control his narrative. But what are your thoughts? Have you watched the EC3, the narrative video? What were your thoughts? Where do you think EC3 will end up next? Do you think EC3 will indeed end up with Impact Wrestling? Will he appear at Slammiversary tonight? Will he be the fourth man in the Impact World Championship Fatal 4-Way main event at Slammiversary? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond to you all. I really enjoy interacting with you all in the comment section below. Don't forget to give us a like and also share the video if you would like also. And be sure to subscribe. We're on our way to 500 subscribers, onto that road to 1,000, and we'll be doing a lot more streams once we get to 1,000. As I mentioned, we're going to be doing a watch along for Slammiversary tonight. I'll put the link in the description box below so you can set a reminder for that. If not, you can go to the channel, set a reminder there. So hopefully I'll see you all there. Be sure to follow us also on all of our social media platforms. They're on the screen right now. It's at 365Wrestle on Twitter and at WrestleNews365 on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you've come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.